Hey everyone, it's Susan Pierce Thompson and welcome to the weekly vlog. This week I want to talk about a constellation of topics that sort of go together, and I've touched on them in the past in different vlogs, and I want to cover them again and a little differently today because there's a subject around this that I've been thinking about a lot lately. The topics are commitment, accountability, and authority. So when people start the Bright Line Eating Boot Camp, we encourage them to write down their food the night before. So exactly what they're going to eat the next day, to the baby carrot, precisely and exactly according to their food plan that we give them, what they're going to eat the next day, right? And then we encourage them to commit that food. So whether they call a friend and say, here's what I'm going to eat tomorrow, or they get on their knees and they pray and they say, God, here's what I'm going to eat tomorrow, or they post it in the Facebook group and they say, I've written down my food for tomorrow and I commit to eat only and exactly that, or they list out what they're going to eat and they say, here's what I'm going to eat tomorrow. But we encourage them to commit it. And whenever we publicly, verbally, in front of another person, say what we're going to do, it puts us into a heightened state of commitment around that. And then there's this issue of, do we feel accountable? Are we holding ourselves accountable to following through on that commitment? And this state of accountability is a tricky one. So for anyone who's ever dieted in the past and pledged that they were going to stick to a certain plan and then watch themselves slide off track over the next days, weeks, months, whatever, this is the scourge of every dieter. We all know, this sort of over and over and over and over and over again. We do this. We say we're going to do this plan, and then we watch ourselves not stick to it at some point. We stop sticking to it. It's the issue of accountability. Like we don't actually, we reach a certain point where we don't feel accountable to doing it anymore. And so I want to share a few things about this. Like one is I've been coaching people. I coach these days are Bright Lifers. So these are the people that have finished the Bright Line Eating Boot Camp, and right when they finish the boot camp, they get an opportunity to join Bright Lifers. So we've got thousands of Bright Lifers now, and every morning, literally every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. on weekends, we hop on the phone together as a group and we do what we call the accountability call. A bunch of people hop on live, we post it immediately, so a lot of people listen to the recording later in their day. And I'll coach somebody for, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes. And we also talk about, did you eat what you committed to eat the day before? As a group, we do this. Did you eat what you committed to eat? Did you write down your food for today? Have you meditated? Have you talked on the phone with another supportive person? Anyway, so on these accountability calls, sometimes I'll talk to somebody who's struggling with their food and they want me to help them get back on track. And I'll ask them, like, do you have a buddy? Do you have a mastermind group? And often they'll say, well, I have a buddy. I talk to her every day. I text her all the time. And I say, are you committing your food to your buddy? And they say, yes. And I say, but you're not eating what you're committing. And they say, right. And at that point, I point out, well, you clearly don't feel accountable to your buddy. Like you're committing what you're going to eat and then you're eating something else, like every day. And they're like, right. And I say, well, so this is the new angle on this subject that I wanted to bring into this vlog is the issue of authority. Like clearly you're not giving your buddy authority, right? You don't feel beholden to them. There's some part of you that sort of knows that the next day it's going to be all right if you show up and say, yeah, I didn't eat what I committed to eat. Because I'll ask them, I'm like, are you honest with your buddy when you don't eat what you committed to eat? They're like, yeah. So day in and day out, they're telling their buddy, yeah, I didn't eat what I committed to eat. Yeah, I ate this other thing. Yeah, I ate a little too much. Yeah, I went over my quantities lines. Yeah, I went out to eat, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, they don't feel accountable to their buddy, right? They don't give their buddy authority. Now, oftentimes people reach out to me for coaching and they hope that I've got some kind of magic wand to help them with their weight, with their food addiction, whatever. And I don't have a magic wand at all. Food addiction is a beast. Any addiction is a beast. There's no plan or program that works to handle addiction for everybody. Like, there just isn't. There's things out there that work for some people. 12-step programs work great for some people. They don't work for other people. Bright line eating works great for food addiction for some people. It doesn't work for other people. For other people, they don't have food addiction and they just use bright line eating as a lifestyle change, as a way to live happy, thin, and free, which is great. I don't have a magic wand, especially for people who are real food addicts and really struggling. But often what I do have, and I'll use it, is they give me authority. They don't want to let me down. They don't want to, like, they hold me in some kind of, they sort of put me in some kind of role in their mind where they grant me authority. And so what I'll say, for example, is, well, look, I want you to find a new buddy. I'm sure your buddy's great. Use her for support when you need to reach out and call someone to just, get support. But I want you to find a new buddy. I want you to find somebody who's got, 200 days of squeaky clean bright lines. Post in the Bright Lifers Facebook group and find someone like that who's willing to take your food commitment every day. Now, I'm banking that someone who's sticking with their bright lines is going to hold much better authority than someone who isn't. But I don't know even necessarily that they're going to give that person authority. So then what I say is, and I want you to send me a message in a month, 30 days from now, and tell me that you've been sticking with your bright lines. And just that extra little step of, I say, okay, send me a message in 30 days and tell me how you've been doing, and I want to hear that you've been sticking with your bright lines. I sense that there's a good chance that they'll give me authority, and they will be more likely to stick with their bright lines because they know that they have to report to me in 30 days. It reminds me of my dad. When I was a kid, my mom is kind of a softie. She was always a really good friend, a really good confidant, but I didn't grant her much authority. Like, she would tell me to do something and I might or might not do it. It was a challenging dynamic between us. I had a really strong will, and she always saw both sides to every story, and I could pretty much talk her into my way. And so from a young age, I stopped giving my mom authority, but I gave my dad authority. He was kind of scary. He's softened over the years. He's not a scary guy anymore at all. But as a kid, he was a sweetheart, and sometimes he would have a temper. And I, for whatever reason, I gave my dad authority. Like, he held the line with me, even though I was a tough kid. He held the line with me. And so when my dad would tell me something, it would stick. It would hold sway with me. And when you're dealing with a fractured self, like a part of you wants to eat and a part of you wants to stick with bright line eating, it helps if you put yourself in a state of commitment with someone that you grant authority to. And I can't tell you who that is. Like, it's different for different people, right? It could be your spouse. It could be someone in the online community. If you're, one of our boot campers or something, and you're here, you could find someone in the community that you give authority to. If you're a Bright Lifer and you get coaching on the accountability call from me, it could be me. But you need to find, it could be a coach. It could be someone you hire. And that often does the trick. There's something about laying down money that increases the odds that you're going to give that person authority. You're like, well, you watch yourself invest, and suddenly that ups the odds. It ups the odds that you're going to stick, that you're going to commit. I recently experienced this, and I'm going to sort of kill two birds with one stone here. I'm going to tell you the story about commitment and accountability and authority. And I'm going to also do what I said I would do, whatever it was, 5 weeks ago or something. I recorded a vlog on water fasting, and I said I would tell you how it went. So here I am telling you how it went. I did a 3-day water fast in Oregon in August, at the end of August. And it went okay. Like, it went okay in the sense that I loved it. Like, I actually really enjoyed the feeling. Like, it felt really healthy. At the end of the fast, that went okay too, although I did find it harder to stick with my quantities afterwards. Like, my body, after I refed and started introducing food back into my system, my body wanted more food, probably because it hadn't eaten anything in 3 days. So that made it a little tricky. And I was still traveling. So my quantities got wonky. I got back to Rochester and I did another water fast. And I water fasted for 10 days. So I literally didn't eat anything, but I drank water for 10 days. And coming out of that, at the end of it, I was feeling in a lot of pain. I was really achy. The first 6 days of it were fine. They were great. And then I started to get achy. By 10 days, I was really glad that it was over. And I talked with some folks at the True North Health Center where they do medically supervised water fasting. And I very carefully reintroduced food. And after that, my food got off. Like it was very hard to get. I went into sort of a strange state. I've never been in this state before, mentally, psychologically, where I couldn't picture eating my 3 normal weighed and measured meals. I could only picture either overeating and indulging or not eating at all. Like I was in a, and I got scared. I was not right mentally. And I could feel my body screaming for more food, and I didn't know what to do, basically. And I knew that I had to put myself in a safe container, like a place where someone else that I granted authority to was holding me safely so I could get back to my 3 meals a day. And again, this issue of authority, I went back to someone in my 12-step life who hasn't broken his bright lines for like 10 years or something. Maybe once or twice, like maybe an extra piece of fruit once or twice in 10 years. But he's been doing 3 meals a day with nothing in between, weighed and measured food for a long time. He's a friend of mine. I talk about him a little bit in my book. His name is Pat Reynolds. And I called him up and I was like, dude, would you help me? Like I'm off and I need to commit my food to you for a little bit. And he said, yeah, I'm here for you. Like I will take your phone call every morning. And I started committing my food to him every morning and I got back on track that fast. And because I give him authority, he's been doing this for a long time. I mean, funny enough, I helped him 10 years ago when he first started. But now he's been, doing great. He's kept off almost 200 pounds. And I knew that I would give him authority. So I called him up, I asked him to help me, and I started committing my food to him every day. And I could have done that with someone in Brightline Eating, but people in Brightline Eating are either I'm coaching them or they're my employees. Like most of my closest people in Brightline Eating, they're my employees. Or I coach them, right? They're my boot campers, they're my Bright Lifers. So for me, to give someone authority, like I have to go outside that structure and find someone that I give authority to. So, it's this interesting notion. I want you to think this next week as you're navigating your food, maybe you're in a state of commitment already. Just you feel committed to your bright lines, you feel committed to yourself, feel committed to your plan. Awesome. If you're slipping around, I want you to think, how can I become more accountable? And who can I bring into my world that I grant authority to so that I can commit my food to them and I will actually eat what I committed to eat and not monkey around, right? It's an interesting notion. So just have a think. Who do you give authority to? It's different for all of us. Anyway, that's the weekly vlog, commitment, accountability, authority. And I look forward to seeing you next week.